What's going on, guys? Today's episode is about what I like to call the Mount Rushmore of muscle building, all right? And so this is like my own personal, well, you know what? It's not even my own personal, it's science's 4 main ingredients that are required in order to build muscle, right? So today we'll go over the first one, which is volume. And basically, if you don't have these 4 ingredients and you're not paying attention to them, you will not build muscle, okay? And even those people who don't know about this and they do build muscle, it's because they're following these principles whether they know it or not, okay? So the first one is volume. And so volume is the amount of pounds that you lift over a given amount of time, right? So let's say in one set you're lifting 10 pounds and you do 10 sets of 10 reps. You did 10 reps times 10 sets times 100 pounds. You did 1,000 pounds of volume, right? And then the same goes like over the course of the week, over the course of the month, and over the course of the year. He who accumulates the most volume and lives to tell the tale will be the most jacked and have the most muscle, right? So that's one of the biggest parts or most important ingredients when it comes to building muscle. That's why it's the first head on the Mount Rushmore of muscle building. All right, and so now I will say one caveat to this, which is if you're like, oh, okay, well, volume, I'm just gonna start doing 20,000 pounds of volume, 30,000 pounds of volume every workout, or you pick some arbitrary number, you're gonna run into problems because you have to build yourself, the structures, the body has to be able to handle that. So this includes, how do you know what you can handle? If you're trying to get volume where you're like injuring yourself or you can't maintain perfect form, and then you're super sore, and then you do it again and you can't recover, and then you get sick, and then your immune health goes down. Those are all signals that you're doing way too much. Okay, so the key is do just enough volume where you're constantly making progress, but it's not tipping you past the point of doing too much volume where you can't recover from it, all right? Dr. Mike Israetel calls this maximum recoverable volume. What's the most amount of volume you can recover from, right? And so a simple way to do this is just have a logical plan, have a coach who's guiding you. They'll make sure that your volume is in the right place. So that's that. And then the last thing I'll say is, and this applies to all the heads on Mount Rushmore for muscle building, your form and technique is the number one thing. Like you should always, every single rep, be able to make it look pretty. It should be controlled, right? Because if you don't, that's when you injure yourself. And then if you're hurt, you can't accumulate volume, right? Because you're injured. So this part is very important. Like overall, the way you perform every rep is really the number one thing. But we'll leave it at that for our first edition of the Mount Rushmore of muscle building. And tomorrow we'll talk about the next piece, which will be intensity. And it's not what you think.